Turntable teacher. Turntable teacher.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers here with an exclusive guest speaker episode with Beyond Podcast. And this is a pretty awesome experience right now because this is your 100th episode and you guys are coming down to AOA Studios to record this and have me kind of, you know, interview you guys for once because you never get interviewed. So this is pretty cool. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that because you've been on
a few, but it's nice to be on the other side. Yeah.
But guys, congratulations, first of all. Thank you. 100 episodes. This is really cool for all of my listeners, my audience. These guys run a really awesome podcast where you guys cover high school sports, amongst various other things, which we will get into. But I'm so excited to have you guys. How you both doing?
Good, man. We're excited to be here. I mean, your setup here is unreal. This is so cool. So thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, it shows that we need some upgrades in our business as well too. So thanks for showing us up today. This is really nice. Nice digs.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, this is Anthony Petrelis, the host of Beyond Podcast, and Jon Sencabaugh, who is really just does a lot of the editing, social media presence, essentially.
I mean, he makes it all come to life, truthfully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what this business is.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So we have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, you guys hit your 100th episode, which is amazing. I cannot take credit for the balloons. We have a little bit of a live audience behind here.
Cool.
Shout out, surprise
really
today.
cool.
Yeah.
Shout out Carissa
surprise.
and Katie.
Yeah.
This is really cool. How we start off on the Turntable Teachers, we get to know you guys a little bit. It's called The Objective. And you being a teacher yourself, I'm sure you're familiar with having to have objectives. So, I want to get to know you guys, or have our audience and your audience to really, I think, flip it a little bit and get to know you guys on where you really started and where Beyond is today. So I definitely want to start there. I know we have history of how Beyond started, but I'm more so curious on how Jon actually got into the podcast.
Yeah, so I mean, we were probably doing it for 4 or 5 months. And my editing was iMovie. You know what I mean? It was basic and simple, and I didn't really know a lot. And Jon kind of reached out to us. We were friends, really good friends, and he just said, "Hey, I know how to do this stuff really well." I think you reached out to me one time, and I was like, yeah. But I was just so wrapped up in what I was trying to figure out. And then you reached out a second time, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then Jon sent the trailer over, and I was like, you've literally changed this business to what I've envisioned it to be. So I would say it was 5-6 months maybe when we started, when you jumped on board.
Yeah, I would say because it wasn't just an audio podcast, it was a visual one too, where you were using Instagram and YouTube as other platforms as well too, where there were visuals involved. I think that's where I noticed that hey, this wouldn't be bad to be able to put out trailers. And especially during the pandemic, I think we all could say that we probably jumped on Apple Podcasts a lot to listen to different things to pass the time, when everything was shut down. And I noticed that a lot of podcasts, that's what they were doing. They putting out trailers for their episodes, hyping them up, and it wasn't just waiting for the episode to be released. They really hyped it up and talked about what was going to be happening next week, or adding that visual element to the podcast. And I think it was great to jump on. That's something I've always loved to do, and it was something that I knew that I could definitely help you out with. So
yeah.
Well, it's definitely needed because safe to say Anthony is not tech savvy.
No. I mean, I've gotten better, but I mean, I give myself a C+ at this point, B-, I'd say. Yeah, for sure.
Jon definitely brings you to that A level,
A+, level.
Yeah,
A+
100%.
level. Yeah.
So obviously, for context, for those people that don't know, again, this is not me patting myself on the back, but I actually helped you start. Beyond Podcast,
I've said it. I say
crazy.
it on every podcast I've been on. I was just on Right Mind, and we talked about
shout
you
out Jay
for
Faith and Right Mind.
10 minutes. We talked about you. You helped him. You helped me, and we just exchanged about how grateful we were for that.
And yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm always, even now, I'm always somebody that really wants to help people and get to this because I know how hard creating a podcast is, and there's a lot more that goes into it than people realize. For you guys to hit 100 episodes, that is a huge feat that might not seem huge to some other people, but unless you're in this sort of business in the podcasting industry, how hard it is to be consistent and reach that 100 episodes amongst all the other things that you guys are doing. So Anthony, I want to ask you a question too right now based on that, because where do you feel like you've grown from episode 1 to episode 100, just not as an interviewer, like I'll ask that in a minute, but just more so on like the technical side, like understanding, how to record and, the equipment that you needed to really just the uploading process and the, getting Jon involved in the trailers. Like, how has that process either been easier for you, or how have you been able to level up since really your like infancy stages of Beyond?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of joking about it off air, but like getting an iPhone was like kind of the first thing, because like when we communicate, like Jon would make a cool video and send it to me, but then it come in like pixelated or whatever, because I didn't have an iPhone, I had Android. So I think getting an iPhone, I realized how much easier it was to do the stuff that we were doing. For me, it was like much easier to cut an episode, send him trailers, upload to YouTube, screen record, like all of that. I mean, I've come full circle. I mean, audiences don't know, but like I never had social media before in my entire life before I started this business. So the simplest of tasks was the most difficult for me, because I was learning like from the ground up. So I would say from like a social media standpoint as well, like I know how to use Instagram really well now, and I like understand analytics, and I understand like putting a 1:15 trailer out there versus putting like a 40-second trailer out there, and paying attention to the analytics like that. So from like a technical standpoint, definitely just like figuring out like what the right number is, or what the right seconds amount to put something out there to keep people's attention, to keep people wanting to see more and view it. I think that's probably where I feel like I've grown the most, is just really studying the numbers and the math and the analytics behind everything, because that really like it tells you a lot. Like numbers don't lie at the end of the day. So when I see people, even on an episode we've talked about, like when we cover a team, just how much we cut it down by like 2 minutes, how much more our views are, or how much more people are staying on longer to pay attention to something. So definitely. For me, it's just like the basic stuff, but just getting like really good at it, Yeah,
and you both seem to complement each other really well, because, you're obviously the on-air sort of presence, and you're like doing all the behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of the things. So it feels like it's kind of a perfect marriage between the two of you guys. Specifically, like, what can you say? Obviously, you've said a lot about Jon's, addition and how useful he's been to the business and to the platform. But like, can you expand a little bit on like how he's been able to help elevate you guys from just a visual standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, we dabble in like so many different things. So like obviously our major thing is sports, but like even when we were driving here today and parked in the parking lot, like we would just literally had a business meeting for like 30 minutes in his car, and we were just like talking about all these ideas. And what's so great about Jon is like Jon can make this all come to life. So like before I have ideas, like I don't know how I'm going to do this. We have ideas, and Jon's like, I can do this, I can edit this, I can add this in, and just makes our stuff come to life. So for like him, like, thank God for him in a lot of ways, because I think the idea that we have and what we do is cool and it's really funny. He just can make it that much cooler and that much funnier, and then add his own spice into it. Like, he has pretty much freedom. Like, I don't really question things he does. I think the only time I've ever questioned him is like if music is loud and voices, and I'm just deaf and he's not. So like that's also like part of it too, that like I can't hear things really well. And he's like, dude, it's not that loud. I'm like, okay, like, or sometimes I'm like, can you just change it though? Like, other than that, like I trust him with anything. Like I don't question, I don't whatever. Like I don't give him deadlines. I'm like, do it when you can do it. He's a dad. He's a really good dad. He has a daughter in high school. He has a young daughter who's 3, and he's works nonstop. I mean, you wouldn't want to work with a better person, like who you are as a person. To, like, have somebody like next to you, like believing in it, seeing it, and making it even come more to life.
Well, that's the big thing, right? Like getting people on board that believe in it. Yeah. I had a producer, my friend Sam. I said this many times. Shout out one of my very close friends, Sam, who. Same thing, helped me elevate visually at a time when I needed it most. And again, it was one of those things where he just believed in the platform. And naturally, he's not doing a lot on the platform anymore for a variety of different reasons, but he was so instrumental, especially during the pandemic, of getting us to like kind of that next level. And Jon, my next question is for you, of course, sort of like, what's your background with video editing and sort of, your experience thus far being on Beyond? Because you feel like kind of a natural. Like, did you have a sort of a lot of experience before in videography, video editing, software, things like that? Or is this kind of one of those things where you're just kind of learning as you go?
It's kind of funny, like, before the podcast, back in high school and even in college a little bit, I had a media degree, and maybe I did some like student films and stuff like that, and did some stuff with audio and video, and I've done I've been in a lot of bands, a lot of music and stuff like that. So used to record our stuff, used to record when we played out live and things like that. But 14 years there was a hiatus of just not doing that stuff. Like just kind of after college it was like, all right, you gotta go get a job now. You gotta do this full time, and like still dabble very, very rarely in video and stuff like that. So I think this podcast and jumping on, it was definitely a way for me to open that door back up and not have it closed forever and say, hey, let's get back into it. Let's see what's going on. And I was blown away with the technology that exists now. And, it might not have been as big in the Stone Age as Anthony was with certain, instruments and tools and stuff like that to use. But I'm looking at them like, oh my God, if this was only around when I was in college, if this was around when I was in high school, like this is unbelievable. And it gave me that opportunity to, like I said, open that door back up and get back involved with that kind of thing. But in all honesty, I watched a trailer that I did for Beyond, 2 years ago during during 2020, 2021, and I look at stuff that we're doing now, and I'm seeing it, I'm like, geez, like this wasn't as good as I thought it was, but it was then because it was so new to me. But
of course,
in all honesty, the experience I can say to anyone, it's trial and error. It's just, don't be afraid to try things out, give it a go, and you'll always, no matter what you're doing, you're going to revisit it at some point and look back at the things. What you did in the past for anything that you do, it's gonna look maybe bad and maybe terrible to you presently, but you wouldn't be where you are presently if you didn't do those things first. So it's all trial and error. That's 100%. My experience.
No, I love that, and I think that that's great advice for anybody listening to this. I think that that's just good advice if, whether or not you're doing something in media or podcasting or video, that I think that kind of just rule applies any which way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I do want to move on to some things you guys are doing now with the platform, because you guys are not just a podcast. As sort of I've found with my platform, Turntable Teachers, those people that are tuned into our episodes know that, yeah, it's a podcast. There's a place where people come and connect and have conversations, meaningful conversations, but we do a lot outside of that as well, and have really started branching out over the last few years, and you guys definitely do that. But my last question in the objective part of this episode is really just, you had mentioned it briefly before, but you're both fathers. You're both family men. And what has that been like to balance your full-time jobs and your families and this platform as a juggling act? And Anthony, I guess I'll start with you, especially being a father of twins. And,
I mean, it's mayhem. I mean, honestly, it's mayhem. To me, like, I've kind of just like sold myself to this. So like, to me, like, it's work. Like, to me, like, I don't need a social life right now. I don't need to always go out and do things. I don't need to always go out and like do whatever. Like, to me, it's like, I teach, I come home, I want to be dad. Like, I love being dad. I love doing things with my kids. And then my other free time is really working on this. It's like, if you look at our phone conversation, I probably have 10,000 texts in the last month, because that's all I care about. Like, to me, in a way, like, having kids, this is something I want to build to make life more comfortable for me and make more life comfortable for them. Mm-hmm. And so I'm cool with like the balancing act. I mean, it's definitely late hours. It's definitely waking up early. It's not a lot of sleep, right? I mean, it's not healthy, but like, that's the truth. And like, they're my motivation. So like, it's very easy for me just to kind of shut out life a little bit. And I tell my friends, like, it's nothing personal, guys, but like, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. And so for me, it's very parallel. Like, the more successful this is, like, the more I know I can be for my kids and my dad, and give them things in life that either I never had, or just like, that they can have, So, yeah. And
it definitely connects. I hope you don't mind me sort of talking about this.
The shirts
that we're both wearing. So first off, thank you for the swag. Appreciate it. I was wearing the other Beyond shirt, but I had to throw this one on because it got.
I'm telling you, I'm afraid I'm going to be sweating through this. I'm like so nervous. I'm like, this is not good. We're like 20 minutes in.
You're good. You're good. Nothing to be nervous about. But no, listen, like, I really appreciate what you've done. Again, like I've said, you've done so many different things with the platform. And can you explain this shirt and like the reasoning behind it and what it means to you? And I know you've done a lot of work, especially with kids with autism, and both your kids having autism. Your initiative and how Beyond has really like helped with really sort of that process.
I think like I mean, we worked on this a lot together, but like where I coached before, like I always had a purpose of like, we got to do something for something, right? Like before we used to work with the One Mission Buzz Off a lot with like kids with cancer. And this is before the podcast. It's something I did on my own through coaching, through teaching. And I always feel like no matter what you do, when you have success at it, even if it's giving back a little bit, you give back. And in this case, like, it's obviously more personal. It's my kids. It's my life. It's my experience. And, you know, we talked about like wanting to put out different swag than like the black shirt that you had on that we talked about, right? And so we thought what better way to do that was like April was Autism Awareness this month. I kind of pitched the idea to John. And within like 10 minutes, he had a t-shirt design, which you guys are looking at, and just a really cool introduction into the t-shirts, why we made them, what they're for. Even the back of them, you can't see that, but just a really cool, like, in the back talking about autism and, like, was it acoustic poems or something like that? So it was cool. It was just be able to kind of do that and recognize, like, my kids and what they're going through and, you know, the give back and give awareness. We're attached with the Flutie Foundation, so this is kind of like that step 2 with them. Like they were part of our cornhole tournament. We donate a lot of the proceeds to that, so we thought what better way to start raising awareness ourselves before like our big tournament or our big fundraiser that we do give to like a Flutie Foundation. Yeah. And we were able to donate like communication boards last year through our tournament. We had 4 of them. You were in on it with us. 2 turntable 100%. Teachers were living the KG life. Yep. But we got 3 communication boards that were put into the remaining elementary schools in Medford that didn't have one.
That's awesome.
And then we were able to put one in the school that my kids were attending in Wilmington. So yeah, like for us, it's bigger than like just interviewing people or doing cool stuff like this or hosting fun events. Like to us, like I think anybody who has a platform, big or small, has an opportunity to do something that's like close and personal to them or to give back in their community in some way. So for us, it's a little hustle, it's a little extra, but at the end of the day, we get a message across that is near and dear to both of us. So I'll let you comment too.
Well, I was going to say too, I think, and it's not for, you know, it's not anyone's fault, but I think some of the smaller things get overshadowed by these big, huge charities because, you know, these bigger charities, they're building buildings for people. They're donating wings. They're donating playgrounds and stuff like that. And I think it's up to, you know, the smaller guys like us to really look at the things that are needed that maybe get overshadowed, like communication boards and things like that. And, you know, life comes full circle to you. Has been part of Beyond Podcast for most of the time that it's been there. I went through 2 cornhole tournaments, and then my daughter was diagnosed with autism after the cornhole tournaments, and I had no idea. And not to get emotional or anything like that, but it means that much more to me. It meant so much more to me to be there and support anyone that, you know, struggle through life, or for the parents or anything like that. But when, you know, hearing that and knowing what we've already done and accomplished together, it like made me feel like that much better. You know, it just made me feel like, oh my God, there are people out there, you know. And I was an example. Anthony's an example. Everyone that participated in that is an example of people reaching out and helping others that they might not be directed to or anything like that. That they're there for you. There's a support system, whether it's a family member, a friend, an acquaintance, whatever it is. There are people that are going to be there to lift you up and make you and be there for you. And this gives me a whole new meaning to be part of this now.
Yeah. That's beautiful, guys. Like, it's so amazing that both of you now can connect to this initiative of with the Flutie Foundation and giving back to kids with autism and things like that. Like that is, and you know, as you know, us being teachers, like me and you, Anthony, like I think that's something that, you know, we see and deal with in various different different degrees from day to day. But you know, it's so great that you guys have something that you're doing outside of just your normal 9-to-5 day jobs, and again, making this platform be so much more than just a podcast, which I think is a great segue to the main lesson, which we're going to talk about, where we get to kind of talk about what you guys are doing now with the platform. So you've obviously had this podcast, you've hit 100 episodes. It's awesome, but you guys have done a lot of other different things too. Like you've done a lot of like highlight reels for different sports throughout the greater Boston area and North Shore and really like so many of these surrounding towns and communities in Boston. You guys have kind of given, like, you're kind of a little news outlet now. Or not even that little. You guys are doing pretty damn well numbers wise, but like in terms of that, like how did you guys get involved in doing highlight reels for sports? And I love how you guys don't focus on just kind of like, oh, football and basketball or boys basketball or whatever. Like I've seen you guys do like girls lacrosse and field hockey and so many different other sports. Like, how did you guys come up with the idea to have Beyond also be a platform to highlight, not only just the coaches, because that's like a lot of the main interviewees you have are high school coaches, college coaches, maybe former players, different things like that. But now you've really focused it more on not only the highlighting them on the field, but also on the podcast too. So can you talk a little bit about that, Anthony? I guess to start with you and like where that vision was.
Yeah. So like, obviously pandemic, everybody was like locked in, and as we were growing this just as a podcast, we kind of talked about like when the fall opened back up that they were letting people in 2021 back in the stands, or you could, fall season was normal again. You got to wear like indoors, you might have to wear a mask or whatever, but COVID was going in a different direction at that point, right? So for us, it was like a grind and hustle. We went to like 8 or 9 high school games for $0.00. We just went on our own. We reached out to the AD, and a lot of it was like guests that we had on, our coaches then reaching out to them being like, hey, we love the cover, all access, locker room, coming out, warm-ups, game, post-game, whatever. And obviously as like a former coach, like I'd eat that up. Like I'd be like, yeah, I want to expose this kid who's getting looked at here, or this kid's getting looked at by this school, or, my coach could be assistant coach of the year. Like there's so many cool things that happen in programs. And like, if I could share one thing, like we covered Stoneham a couple times, and they played an elite championship game. Long story short, there was a giant shed. They open up the shed, and there's like 30 alumni coming out with like, these are like guys in their like late 20s, early 30s. We're not talking like 19, 20, 21-year-old kids who were fresh out of high school. We're talking like grown men, okay? And they're wearing their Letterman jackets. And there's like 30 of them. And my first thought is like, how many kids are hurt in this game that all the kids are wearing their Letterman jackets? Then I realized it's all, he brought back all these alumni from when he was a tenure there at Bob Almeida. And it's probably the coolest clip we ever caught. And I think after that, I started being like, man, there's so much cool stuff that's going on that like, we don't just have to show the X's and O's of a game, like fan interaction. Like some of the kids we met are crazy. You know what I mean? And that stuff's been a ton of fun.
I think it was talking also about like, I was a huge fan of those 24/7s on HBO and having that behind the scenes. Like I used to love the Winter Classic ones for the hockey teams, and whoever was going to be in the Winter Classic, they'd have like a 5-6 part series that started in November leading up all the way to New Year's Day when the game was played. And you're watching these hockey players at their home. You're watching them having Christmas parties. You're watching them do things for charity. And you're watching them practice. And you're watching them in the locker room get lit up by their coach or whatever. And that was something that I recognized, and I think we both recognized, saying, when we were kids growing up, the best you got, and I say this all the time, was your local city camera might come down, catch your game, and it was on at 2 in-the-morning. No one was watching it. And that was your access, was someone came down with the big old JVC camcorder, filmed your game, and one of your parents maybe did the play-by-play. And that was it. That was your exposure. Maybe you got a clip in the paper. Social media has changed so much that kids want things right away. There's so much opportunity, and we see it. Things are getting captured on these phones all the time. Videos of everything. Why not get down to the field? Don't take it from the stands. Get down to the field. Get in the locker room. Hear the coach's speech and things like that. These are things that are never recorded or never showed at the high school level. I mean, we see the coaches' speeches on ESPN and stuff like that, and those are the coolest parts. People love and eat that stuff up. Yeah. Why not have that access for the kids and spotlight them in ways that they never would have been spotlighted before,
Right, because how many kids, like percentage-wise, right? I don't know the percent. This is more of a rhetorical question, but like there's not a high percentage of kids that go on to play college, even just Division III college sports, right? So like that's the end of the road for a lot of those kids, and for them to have a little piece of that, right? Like even for like, I'm thinking about from a basketball standpoint, like if you had like the 12th guy on the bench, like he's going to be in that video in the locker room, right? Like camaraderie with the team, or maybe cheering on the bench, right? Like they're going to be in that highlight video, even if they're not potentially on the court or the field or things like that. And that's so awesome. And I was even thinking back to something like Hard Knocks from the
Same
NFL,
kind of thing.
Right?
Yep.
But like, again, they don't have that for high school sports. Again, when I was in high school, I haven't been removed that long ago, but about 10 years or so, 10, 11 years. But like, the best we had was like just write-ups in the local paper, in the Salem News. Like that was about the peak. I remember one time when we were having our big state championship run, Channel 5 did have like a quick story on us.
Probably a 5-second clip.
It wasn't that long. It was about a couple of guys that just played well in that game. And it was because we were playing at the Garden.
Right.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
So it was not, the third week of the season on a Friday night rivalry, Stoneham against Wilmington. You know what I mean? Or I'm not saying they're rivals. I actually have no idea. But like that's besides.
They did play each other in the league title game. That game that we were at, literally was the matchup. Was literally a matchup. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that. So
to go off what you're saying though, think of the percentage of kids that don't go on to play college.
Yeah.
But I bet you 100% of the kids that will remember their high school sports. They'll remember the team they were on.
Absolutely.
They'll remember the big play they made, the game they were at, the senior night, whatever. Those memories stick together. They stick in that brain forever. And why not capture it so that they can at some point go back? Hopefully, when Instagram's around longer, we can figure out a way to move things around. But we've captured something that they can go back and watch, and they don't have to dig through the boxes and find the newspaper clipping that probably is destroyed by now, or try to find the old VHS that no one has a VCR anymore. Right. So that's over. That's all. It's all said and done. Now they can go back and they can watch these times in their life that they'll never ever forget. Yeah.
It's so niche, but you guys have unlocked something that really was needed. That I think a lot of people didn't realize was needed, and I think it's a testament to how much you guys are getting hired out to do these things. Yeah. Like I feel like you guys are doing a new one like almost every other week.
I get a text from him all the time. Hey, girls volleyball next Thursday. You around? Yep. Yeah. Hey, boys lacrosse in this city. You around? Yep. Basketball here. Hey, I just 5 more games this week or whatever. And we have spreadsheets going nonstop.
Yeah,
because,
it's like crazy.
Like you said, on top of your already full-time job and having stuff for the kids and things like that. And I have a daughter who's 14 who played high school softball. So this year it was, hey, Anthony, here's the high school softball schedule. Book the games based off this because I can't go to them if she's got a game going on. Yeah.
Right.
And we work together on that.
Well, that goes back to earlier conversation we had about that balance between having full-time jobs and having family and kids and different things like that, but then also trying to make this thing work too. Right. Yeah. It's great when you guys can bounce off of each other and say if one of you can't make it or maybe the other makes it. As long as you have the footage, you can always figure it out later.
And what's crazy about this business too, and like I've said this to him before, like we're in a world now that and we've seen it. Like we've seen it now going our second season fall, second season winter, second season spring. It's almost like being a teacher. Like if parents see that this group of kids when they were in a certain grade got this, and this, when their kid gets to that grade, they want their kid to have this, and this. You better
be there. Right?
So if we're covering a senior night, those junior, sophomore, and freshman parents are like, we want our kids getting this when they're a senior. And the coach is stuck. Like as a coach, like we get stuck with so many things. That we're like, oh my god, here we go.
He thinks that's bad. I got a 14-year-old who is already booking me for everything. So, Dad, you got to bring Beyond down, and she's got JV softball, and but that's another cool aspect is having her and her friends following us because we're literally interviewing their classmates and things like that. So it's a different aspect for me. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's just like he said, people are watching it, and that's the expectations now. Is like, wait, you're there for that. You got to be here for that. We need you there. They love the fact that we are there to, like I said, capture those moments. They need us. Need more of us.
It's amazing. I'm so happy for you guys and all the different things you guys. I mean, that's if you can believe it. Our listeners, I'm sure you guys. If you're Beyond listeners, you know how much they do. Our listeners, we haven't even honestly scratched that much of the surface yet. Yeah. And there's actually more that we need to get into, but. On my show, we do a little something called Pop Quiz, and I'd like to take you guys. I know, Anthony, you know what it is. John, this is going to maybe be a new one for you. So, on Pop Quiz, what I'm going to do is ask you both or one of you individually a series of questions. Okay. Give the best answer you possibly can. Some of them might have to do with the podcast and sports. Some might have nothing to do with them at all. Anthony, I'm going to start with you. Okay. I'm going to start with something a little easy. Okay. Yep. They're going to get progressively a little bit tougher.
I like that.
So true or false? You were named prom king, but you haven't won a wedding dance-off since 2007.
Wow. I know definitely who said that.
Sources
that is
are
true about prom king. That is true about prom king. My senior year, I was prom king. I don't know about the 2007 dance-off. We'll talk off here who gave you that one. I think I know who gave you that one now. I'll say that's, I guess, true, but I like to see the facts backed up on that.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, again, that was more of a subjective.
He was at my wedding. He was the best dancer out there.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
John, low key, you're actually a pretty good artist and drawer, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I mean, I don't want to sound boastful, but yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Sure.
You are.
Very
Let's just say you are.
Very good.
Other than numerous renditions of Willie Nelson, what is your favorite thing to draw?
I like characters. Like I like drawing famous people, musicians, and stuff like that.
There's an infatuation with Willie Nelson, though. I got to know a little bit about
Willie.
that.
Willie Nelson. Quick story. My grandmother was heavy into Willie Nelson, and I mean, even till the age of 95, she would belt out a Willie Nelson tune every once in a while. So, you know, I live in the home that my grandfather and her had their whole lives, and I don't know, it just came over me. I started playing Willie over and over and over and over again, and I just love him. Seen him live a few times. He's the man.
Cool. So you like so you're a big Willie Nelson fan, but you also love drawing characters, which is great. And Willie Nelson's definitely a character. All right, Anthony. You've been known to be good at naming state capitals, so I'm going to give you about 60 seconds. Can I get a timer back there?
Oh, jeez.
Fantastic.
Oh,
all right.
wow, this is good.
So I'm going to give you 60 seconds. You're going to name as many state capitals as you possibly can. You ready?
Can I say this? You want me just to say the capital?
No. I'm gonna say the state, okay, and
Cake.
then you give me the capital.
Gotcha.
If you can't, for whatever reason, think of it, you can say pass.
Deal.
Okay. Are we ready back there?
We might get all 50.
Is there someone to check the answers to? You have them?
Oh, I got him. I got him right here. This is what this big sheet is.
I don't need him going Somerville, Massachusetts. I mean,
Medford, Massachusetts.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Alabama,
Montgomery,
Alaska,
Juneau,
Arizona,
Phoenix,
Arkansas,
Little Rock,
California,
Sacramento,
Colorado,
Denver,
Connecticut,
Hartford,
Delaware,
Dover,
Florida,
Tallahassee,
Georgia,
Atlanta,
Hawaii,
Honolulu,
Idaho,
Boise,
Illinois.
Chicago.
No.
No,
wrong.
wait. Springfield,
Good. Indiana,
Indianapolis,
Iowa,
Des Moines,
Kansas,
Topeka,
Kentucky,
Frankfurt,
Louisiana,
Baton Rouge,
Maine,
Augusta,
Maryland,
Annapolis,
Massachusetts,
Boston,
Michigan,
Lansing,
Minnesota,
St. Paul,
Mississippi.
Jackson.
Time.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty damn good. Round of applause. Round of applause.
Well, listen, you're multi-talented.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. You got half of them.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have them. I'm sure if we went through the other half, you'd probably get them.
I mean, we can't off air. I think I'd crush it, truthfully.
You only got one wrong, which was the...
I know, and I couldn't believe I got one wrong.
parents feel
like,
a lot
man.
safer knowing that their kids are getting taught by
Fair
you.
enough, right? No kidding. John, what is the allure of the drive-in movie, and why has that been lost, do you think?
Ooh.
I think it's making a huge comeback. But I think,
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think the allure of it is that, you can control everything. The volume, the climate, the comfort. You can sit there if you need to take the old belt off if you need to while you're watching the movie. Take the shoes off. Those things are frowned upon at a normal cinema.
Definitely the belt. Put it home.
Yeah,
Don't take
absolutely.
your belt off in the movie theater.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not do that.
Do not do that.
Take it from me. But anyways, no, I think it's that nostalgic feeling. I think that it's cool to see something on a screen in your car. Again, you could go grocery shopping and get all the snacks that you want. You're not spending an arm and a leg. You pay $10, have anyone in your car. You're sitting there, you're watching it. But my family's huge into the drive-in. We have a lot of fun there. It's a good time.
I know you're a big drive-in movie guy.
Oh yeah.
Anthony, why are you so afraid of raccoons?
Dude, don't even go there. I just freaked out when you said that. I don't know. Honestly,
The trash
I've seen like a raccoon get mad before. Like where I grew up, like we always go in our back door. So we probably had like a 50-foot walk down the walkway to go to the back door. And the trash cans, like I'm not making this up. We had like 7 trash cans that were like lined up. None of them had covers. Like none of them had covers. So you'd walk in and like as you're walking by, a raccoon would pop out, like jump over the fence, and I would like jump, like I'd freak out. And even one time when I was in college, or I might have been just out of college, I got home late one night and again walking down the back, and there was 3 of them just standing and like, we don't have a key to my front door. You know what I mean? So I'm like, throwing mulch and like trying to get, and they just like wouldn't move.
No key to the
No
front
key,
door.
no covers
No.
on your barrels. What are you doing?
Yeah, where were you living?
I will insult never.
You deserve to get attacked.
Figure it out.
They
Petrelis
screech
household.
too,
Yeah,
right?
so we just had a
No
lot of
offense to the
barrels.
Petrelis household, but damn.
No,
Make
I
this
know.
guy a key.
Yeah.
And that was
Why didn't
before
you-
like you got the barrels that like cities and towns give you now. Like you had barrels that were different colors, different sizes.
Did you have the old metal barrels?
I had a few.
Oh, jeez.
And then like a few that were on the wheels, like
Like
one
Oscar
you
the
could-
Grouch type barrels? Oh, you had the one
Yeah,
that
I had a
was
few
the-
aluminum ones. Yeah.
This is where we're at. We're talking about trash
So
cans,
like
people.
they would not leave my walkway, and then like obviously that was before like texting and everything else, and I like tried calling the house phone. My brother wouldn't pick up, so I slept in my car for the night because I was like, I'm not walking down my walkway. Like I'm terrified of them. Like if a raccoon literally walked in here, I'd be so embarrassing to catch what you'd catch on camera, how I would react.
So believe it or not, I had a stuffed raccoon growing up, and it was my favorite
Dude, if you had
stuffed
that hair, I would've
animal.
ran.
Was his name
my
Rocky?
entire life?
What
What was
was
his name?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember, if I'm being quite honest, and I should know this. Yeah. My mother would know. I don't remember what his name was, truthfully, but it's true.
Good. Well,
Fear.
he's not around, is he still?
He's not around, but
Right behind you.
I might.
And even like a toy stuffed animal. Like if I saw like literally a raccoon, like something that even looked like it, I'd run. Like I'm
That's
terrified.
fantastic. I
I'm
love
terrified.
I know you're both massive. This question is for both of you. You guys are both massive fans of The Sopranos, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
What other than The Sopranos, what's like your Mount Rushmore of TV shows?
Jesus, that's a bad question to ask me.
I mean, Entourage is there for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I
got
would-
two more.
I would throw
Cheers.
that.
Okay. Cheers.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
24 was a great one.
All in the Family.
Okay. All right.
I'm. You know what I'm huge into right now? Because it's a comfort show. I need a comfort show to fall asleep to. With this, I can't watch Sopranos to fall asleep. You can't sleep and then hear gunfire.
I
Not gonna work.
definitely fall asleep.
Well, maybe certain episodes, but yeah, if I know someone's getting whacked, it's hard to fall asleep and peacefully dream. But Frasier, I'm huge into Frasier.
Okay.
Which is also making a comeback.
Is it?
He's rebooting.
I
and
did
not only
hear
that,
about this.
in Boston. That's where
I
it's set again.
heard about this. Yeah.
So I'm excited. But yeah, Frasier.
Okay. All right. So
Frasier's up there now.
Frasier.
Yep.
All right. He got one extra, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Mine's more.
Sopranos, and you said 24.
And Entourage.
Entourage, you get one more. You get 4. Mount Rushmore is usually 4.
That's true.
He's got to know his hit. He knows his capitals, but not his hits.
Does it
Don't know
Not his
my
monuments.
South Dakota Mount Rushmore. Pierre, by the way, is the capital.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. I mean, this is gonna sound like more like when I was a kid, but like Saved by the Bell. I mean, Saved by the Bell was pretty legit. I mean, I learned a lot from Zach and Slater, and obviously every young man loved Kelly Kapowski, right? So it was a win-win for all. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. John.
Yep.
I know you're a pretty damn good guitar player. Sorry, I know I'm like bringing out all these different.
Listen.
I'm setting you up to be like super braggadocious
no,
right now.
seriously.
His cape. He left his cape over there too, by the way.
Well,
Just, yeah.
I gotta say, you did bring the guitar. If you can, if you want, won't make you. But if you, as long as you just answer this question, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song to play on the guitar? We are a music podcast as well, by the way.
Yeah,
So like, it would be
no.
kind of dope if you play a song right now, but like, you don't have to.
Honestly, I love playing Dave Matthews stuff on the guitar.
Okay.
If I had a favorite to play on the guitar, probably 41 by Dave Matthews.
41 by Dave Matthews.
Yep.
Could
Okay.
we do it?
I can noodle around right now.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
sure.
All right.
Here we go.
Bring the guitar on.
Look at this thing.
Did you happen to have this guitar yet? No, just kidding. This is mine. This is mine.
Yeah.
That's a 10-minute song, but I cut it down to,
That's okay. Listen, that was perfect.
Thank you,
Damn.
thank you.
I guess you might need to get your own guest speaker episode at this point.
Absolutely.
Since you're a musician. You're a musician, man.
He is.
Anthony, I hear you're a very you're very good at chess, but you could be elite if you like had any time to
true.
spend on it.
Yeah.
Rumor has it, a certain somebody you've beat 49 out of 50 times. What's like one move or trick you'd give like a novice chess player to like just maybe have in their arsenal or their back pocket if you want to give away a little
as far as like what I do,
like a strategy maybe, or like,
I'm just attack. You know, I feel like in the game of chess, like everyone's strategic and they place their pieces in certain places. So I kind of just like play very unorthodox, and I am very like, I come out with the queen, I come out with the knights and bishops, like I am on the attack, and I think it shakes people because they want to set their stuff up, and I just
he distracts them with the state capitals.
Yeah,
he starts like saying them randomly, and the person's just like
Baton Rouge,
and he's just
like,
like
Chicago is not the state capital.
And then all of a sudden he's just like checkmate, and they're like, "What the hell just happened here?"
Yeah,
you know,
it's but yeah, you know, there was a 5th grader who gave me a run for my money this year. But yeah, I feel like if I actually like, I was really good when I was in middle school. Like our English teacher was like a chess master. He started, and we were playing all these chess masters, and I was like doing pretty well. And then I went to high school and just like they didn't have it. And like it was kind of geeky, I guess, right? Like I don't want people to know I played chess, so I just kept it a secret. And then when people brought out a chessboard, I was like, "Oh, I'll play. Like I've played before." And then I just murder people. Yeah, yeah.
The amount of times this year I caught students in class playing chess on their computer.
Yeah,
it's unbelible.
It's a bad thing to catch them doing. I mean,
I know. Right. I could catch them doing a lot worse. Yeah. Having said that,
you want TikTok? No, I'm playing chess.
It's not nerdy anymore. It's making a comeback.
Hey,
just so you know, just so you're aware of that.
I might run might be on Beyond Podcast. I might be covering the chess team somewhere.
You should
move over rock paper scissors.
Why not? It's called Beyond. You guys can really do anything you want at this point because it's called Beyond. I mean, I've boxed myself in, unfortunately. It's
and
Turntable.
Can I just say that? Like, it's funny you just said that, but that's why we named this what we named it. Before it was like Beyond the X's and O's, and then we just cut it to Beyond because we can go wherever we want with it.
Wherever you want.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. It's pretty incredible. Anthony, I have one more question for you, but I'm going to go to both questions. So,
sure.
Who? I know you know this is a big conversation for you. I'm sure we'll get you involved with this too. Who are like the quarterbacks you consider elite in the NFL? I know you have like a hard opinion on this.
Like now it's so interesting because like some of the bigger names aren't there anymore, right? Like Brady obviously being the last one. I think like in the NFL right now, like Mahomes is just on a different level. So I would put him like in a class on his own. And then like right below that, I mean, you know, right? Like Allen, Hurts, like those. I mean, Hurts is. I think if Hurts has another year the way he did, then you talk about him a little bit more, right? But like Allen, I mean, Rodgers is still in the league. I mean, we'll see what he does this year. But it's funny, man. Like I have this question a lot with people, like when we talk about quarterbacks, and I just say like, think of the end of a game, 2 minutes left. You're at your own 20-yard line. Look at all the quarterbacks. Who would you say could drive you down the field? And you'd be surprised, like how many people like might have a difference of opinion about certain people, but how many people are like nope. And then you look at that list at the end, and it's only like 6 or 7 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So I would say those guys are like kind of like next level elite. I mean, I might be leaving somebody out. I'm sure.
Yeah, Joey Burrow.
I mean, yeah,
Burrow's got to be in there,
right?
Probably, right?
So you know. Yeah, I'd say it's like 4 or 5 elite guys, and then I feel like everybody else is kind of on the playing field. But Mahomes is in a level all his own right now.
Of his own.
Yeah,
I love it. Anthony, so you won the National Teaching Award in 2014.
I did, yeah.
And you were a hero among us at the Celtics game, which is that same year, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I think it was like that January, so it might have been like 2014 to 2015. But yeah, that's same school year.
Describe what those honors were like for you.
It's funny, like I don't really talk about it a lot.
I know that's
ever. I mean, it's cool, right? Like, I mean, it was really cool. I think winning the teaching award came at like a really good time for me because I was really down on like my profession and what I was doing, and like was I having the effect I was having? And you know, I think in teaching you go through stages of just like, man, like, is this the right thing for me? Am I doing well? Could I do more? Like, what am I not doing? So winning something like that, I think, changed my life, like truthfully, you know, changed my perspective, my life, like maybe feel validated of the effort that I was putting in, and just to continue to do that and grow. The Celtics thing was just kind of cool, right? Like, just they picked you up in a limo, they brought you to the front offices. I met like Danny Age. I was in his office. I got to go on the court. I met doesn't play for them anymore. Played at Ohio State. Can't think of his name, but his parents.
Jared Sullinger.
Bingo. That's exactly who it was.
Remember the school?
Ohio State guy and Celtics guy. You can't get that one past.
His mom was a principal. His dad was a teacher for like 30-something years. So we had like a really cool like 5-minute conversation just about school that like
about as long as his career was 5 minutes. So that's perfect.
And yeah, you know, and then I got to take. What was really cool is I have it. I think it's in my classroom now actually, but it's a picture of me at center court with Marcus Smart, poor guy, and
sorry, Marcus.
Anthony Davis when he was with the Pelicans, and I got to take a picture with both of them at half court, which
cool.
is kind of a cool picture that like I still show people now. But yeah, that stuff was great, and I enjoyed it in the moment. But like, I'm glad you brought it up because I never talk about it.
I know, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because you do never talk about it.
Yeah.
Or I never hear you talk about it, at least.
Yeah.
John, what's the best part of working with Anthony? If you could pick like one thing.
I think being on the same page at all times. I mean, I think we can literally know what we want to do without even saying it. Like, I can maybe get a text message from like, hey, can you do something with this clip? And I know exactly what he wants me to do to the clip and what he's looking for, and I'll send it to him like, bingo. Like, and it's, you know, there's never something sent back where he's like, actually, I was thinking more like this. It's just like I think we read each other really well. I think that's the best part.
Yeah.
Easy. What's one thing that drives you crazy about him?
Oh, Jesus, the nonstop texting. Anthony's very persistent. I think, like, regardless of when you tell him something's gonna happen or when you're gonna do something for him, he follows up. He is a follower-upper. And it's not like one follow-up. It's like multiple follow-ups. It's like, I don't have amnesia. I remember what I said to you. Like, and we have these things called phones. You can actually just scroll a little, and it will show you what I said. So I mean,
true, though.
I mean, but you know, but it's him doing his due diligence in his own eyes. It is insane. But I would say he follows up a lot of following up.
Yeah.
All right, last one, and then pop quiz is over. I promise. Song that gets you both hyped up. Just one. Like, the one that gets you hyped up.
I mean, for me, it's always been, and I'll stick to the song till the end, but like Will Smith's "Summertime." Like,
it's not Mamba number 5?
I mean, it is. I mean, that's my karaoke song. Okay. I would say that's my karaoke song. But like that song, just like Nice Weather, when that thing comes on, it just like
Will Smith.
Yeah, I know, it's bizarre.
That
is bizarre.
Very
but
unpopular.
1989, that song was written, and that is still played on the radio. You can fact check me on that. It's true.
That song slaps. Get it?
Will, don't sue us, please.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, that song I think was just written before its time, and I think you hear that song anytime summer comes around, and it just doesn't skip a beat for like where it represented in Philadelphia. I'm sure many people in the streets of Philly will say the same exact thing, but that's how their summer is, and that's what it was. And I don't know, when that comes on, it's just never outdated to me.
Interesting. Okay, John, you got to top that.
Yeah, absolutely. Van Halen right now, always.
Van Halen.
I mean, I can't not air guitar the solo that Eddie Van Halen demonstrates in that song. When you hear Right Now, I'd run through a brick wall for anything. Love that song.
Love it. Yeah. Well, guys, round of applause for you guys. Great job on Pop Quiz. Well done. Moving on to still staying in the main lesson. Want to talk to you guys a lot about sort of the rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Yeah.
That's been this phenomenon at Middleton Elementary School.
I like that word, phenomenal.
It is. It is a phenomenon. Like, you would not think something so simple would have gotten so big. I mean, this kid, what's his name again?
Adam.
My goodness.
King Adam,
legitimately. Yeah. Kid wears, if you haven't seen this before, it's unbelievable. Go to the Beyond's Instagram, and you guys will see all of these rock, paper, scissors tournaments. It's unbelievable. This kid Adam dresses in a suit.
Yeah.
He's a 5th grader.
Yeah.
And he's beaten.
It's a business day for him.
It's funny.
Crazy.
Everyone he's beaten has given him something, so he's wearing like pieces of his victims on his like there's a pin from here.
He's like Thanos.
There's a chain from here. Like, it's literally looking at him, you're like, oh my god, this guy. It's like a kill count on the kid. Like, he's got it all. He's in garb. It's like an old warrior, and I'm sitting there, and every time I get a video from him, I'm like, look, this kid's got paraphernalia all over him.
Everywhere,
Just
dude.
flair.
I mean, he's
intimidating.
beating like police chiefs and the
Mayors
and superintendent, people from
Fox 25.
Fox 25. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So how the hell did this thing get so big?
I don't know. I think I joke about this with I won't say her name to embarrass her, but I joke about this with a person a lot, and we talked about like he was just the right kid to win. Like, of all the kids in the tournament, it didn't matter who won, but like a kid who was just kind of like quiet, doesn't say much. You really have to drag words out of him. He came the first day with the suit on. Like, it just like you kind of were secretly rooting for him in a way. And Yeah, like the mayor sent us a video, like a random video, just openly challenging him, and I sent it to John. I go, look at this, dude! Like this is the start of something, and we knew it potentially could be big, but we didn't realize how big it was going to get. And our school and our school community most of our school has backed us. I'll say that, and I'll leave it at that. But if they don't listen to me anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't know. But
I think I know. That's okay. It's fine.
But most of our school has backed us on this, and even the community. Like I went to a kid's birthday party today. I had 3 parents come up to me being like, "You guys, this is the morning announcements, rock paper scissors tournament." Like they knew all about it, and I was like, "Yeah, actually, we are."
I'm never there live for them, but I get the videos, and the last one that he had in the auditorium at the school, I was floored. It looked like a sold-out show. Like, in all honesty, kids went nuts. They were screaming. I'm like, this is so cool. Like, the kids must love being part of that. Like,
teachers had theme music.
Oh, yeah,
like, it was crazy.
Well, I know then you did it with the teachers, and a certain teacher that I am close with did horrible. I mean, we almost
swept.
She got swept. We almost had to change the locks at home. That's how much shame she brought to.
I noticed when that video came out too. Right in the comments, immediately was a comment from you just about your disappointment.
Super disappointed. Like the amount of training we did days before that at home. Like
yeah.
It's not my finest hour as a coach. I will say that. But nah, I'm only kidding. Love you. Anyway, so. Yeah, this thing is just...
It's taken off.
It's like a life of is own, really. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, even the mayor, like
it's rock, paper, scissors. Like, it blows my mind.
And he wins, though. Like, he's lost a couple times. We've had, like, a rematch clause.
I love the clause.
In his contract. It's unbelievable. Invokes his rematch clause. He's got 30 days to do it. And he does it on the spot. So, like, which is great. And none of the matches are, like it's not like he's meant to win every time. Like they're legit. Like he wins majority of the time. Like, you know, they beat the mayor like 4-1. He beat the chief 4-2. He went 7 games with Kavanaugh and the Middlesex sheriff. One of the teachers he smoked. Like the WWE. Superintendent he blew her out of the water. Showed up at her office not knowing. We were knocking on the windows. We came in. We had signs. The whole 9 yards. Beat her 4-0. Killed her.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Like, is there strategy to rock, paper, scissors? Is this kid just a psychological wizard?
I think he's just like intimidating. Like when you walk in and you see a kid wearing a suit, and some weeks he wore a cloak. Like his mom bought him a cloak, so he had wear like a hood with like a gold chain. And we're just like, this kid is on. Like people fear him. Every person we interview after their first comment is like, that was pretty intimidating.
I think he computes the odds in his head, like before he throws something, he like knows what the person's gonna throw. You can see him thinking. Yeah. It's scary.
And then we have security, too. And then you walk in with 2 security guys.
The security thing's hilarious.
Like, security guys that talk trash and, like, just get in opponents' faces. Like, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Hostile environment. I don't know how anyone can perform there.
But that's the thing, like, with that tournament, like, in all seriousness, too, like, Beyond, right? Like, we talked about the name and being Beyond. Like, for us, I'm a teacher. Like, we're dads. Like, to me, that's, like, cool stuff that you get to see things that I do outside of this podcast or like what my life is outside of this podcast. Like if you go on our social media, you see me with my kids, you see me in school, and you see me just like posting, whether it's inspirational stuff, trailer clips that we did, clips that kids might have sent us, or a touchdown or a big hit or a basket or a buzzer beater, whatever. Like we post it. Like our social media is like meant to just, it's feel good. There's no swears in it. There's no bad content. There's nothing inappropriate. Like we're dads. I take a lot of pride in that, knowing that a lot of kids in school follow our podcast, wear our swag, their parents follow it. Like, so to me, that's like a huge thing that we can do what we're doing without dropping F-bombs and without being inappropriate and without doing things that would be questionable, not only for our podcast, but for like my occupation anyways too. So I think I give us a little bit more credit in the way that we create content, because we have to be smart about how we can draw in an adult audience, a kid audience, a male audience, a female audience, and how we can do that. Like our analytics, like a year ago, were like 80-20 male to female. And our Instagram analytics now are like 49-51. Like they're that close, like that it's 50-50. So we know what we're doing is not just about sports, because you mentioned it earlier, it's niche, right? So like, if you don't play sports, you could care less what we're posting on there. If you're not interested in sports, you could care less what we're posting on there. So having sauce, having rock, paper, scissors contest, you know, working with different businesses and doing ads and pop-up things for them, like
covering elections, restaurants.
Right, like everything, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a good trend. I wanted to talk about that too. You guys covered a Medford election
I mean, that might be our funniest video.
Or you emceed it, right?
So or
you emceed the inauguration.
The inauguration of the Meow.
That's wild. So how did that end up happening?
I think it's just a Medford thing. Like she reached out to John very early on about doing some graphic stuff for her while she was running videos of Medford, and the stuff he put together was just like unbelievable. I mean, it might have won the election, truthfully, no, but like it was unbelievable, and I felt like we covered the election, and then all of a sudden, like that video took off, at least in Medford, right? Like people outside of Medford didn't care, but if you live in Medford and you understood that the city council meeting was a battle, the school committee meeting was a battle, the mayor meeting election was a battle, like there were battles everywhere. So we just thought like, hey, let's just run a camera, talk to voters, have fun, and just do something different. Like I feel like we're pretty funny, in a very clean way. So we just we knew the players involved, and we just kind of knew like where to go and what to do. And
we went to
hit
every
a home
polling
run
station that night. Asked the funny questions, and like you said, I think he got selected to be the MC because it's a public figure in Medford. He's a teacher in Medford, and it's clean. They know that it's not going to be someone who's going to go up there and be filthy or anything like that. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, and it was fun to do. I mean, I'll say I did make a huge mistake that day.
Got to announce it.
I forgot to announce the mayor. So here I am. Everyone's
forgot about
standing up.
right.
Okay, I announced all the school committee members. Now I was to defend myself here quite a bit. I was only supposed to do a small part, but people were bailing out last minute. So then I had to take this person's part on and take this person's part on, and before you knew it, I took on everyone's part. So here I am giving introductions, making sure I knew names perfectly, everything. And I'm like, okay, can everybody be seated? And the mayor's just hanging out the door waiting for introduction.
I'm watching live from home, and I'm like, Anthony, announcer, she's there.
Yeah.
Say something. And it was like, oh, geez.
So we got, some lady lit us up in a local paper. Didn't really light us up, but she definitely took a couple shots at us for it. So we did okay, let's rebuttal in a clean, funny way. So we did a press conference. And it was John did some voiceovers.
It was Belichickian, where we were all questioning Anthony, how did you mess up the name? How did you forget all this stuff? And it's Anthony kept we're all to Cincinnati kind of thing. Kept saying I'm not talking about this anymore. I'm not talking about it. Then he got up from the press conference, all flustered, saying, all right, I can't do this anymore. But it was, it's just all fun. But that's, where other people might have been sensitive to that or getting torn apart or whatever. Just let it roll off. And
yeah, people were texting me nonstop, being you see this, picture and screenshotting it. And I was like, how can we be so funny about
any press is good press is what I was saying.
That's what. Yeah. So yeah,
that's hilarious. And it really is. I love it. So out of the 100 episodes you guys had, so initially you were having a lot of coaches on. You've started to, and then it was more high school coaches, and then it grew to college coaches, and then you've had some former players on. I know you had Jermaine Wiggins on from the Patriots, which is crazy. But now you've also had a lot of high school kids on and things like that to showcase them as well, which I think is really cool. It must be awesome for them to have to be able to go on a legitimate high school sports podcast as a high school athlete. That's pretty damn cool. Out of the 100 episodes, I know you probably have a special place in your heart for all of them. It's almost like picking your favorite kid. I don't mean to ask that, but are there any moments on the podcast or an episode or part of an episode that stands out to you in any way? It can be a good thing. It could be sort of a negative. It could be something went horribly wrong, or it could be just a funny moment. Anything that you feel stands out from any of you, some moments, some special moments from your first 100 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I have one. I mean, obviously my first episode was the head coach that I played for, that I coached with, and that I eventually took over for. So that was that's always the most special one to me.
Sure.
But I would say, and I use this one all the time, but I had on this defensive back coach from Mercer University. His name was David Cole.
He coached Kyle Duggar, right?
Yeah, from the Pats. That was cool. And I think being able to talk shop with him, professional football, what scouts were looking at, and being able to dialogue, and him being your stuff, that we have a legit conversation about college recruiting and being a professional athlete and training and draft day, and to be able to feel I could hang with him, that was probably the first 4 months I was doing the podcast, and that moment when I was I could interview anybody and I'd feel comfortable with it. So for me, I had certain points I used to tell people, if I suck, tell me. If this isn't good, tell me, because I don't want to invest so much time into this and everyone's just like, you're doing great, you're doing awesome, and I'm really not, right? So
100%.
I always had those like 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. But after that mark, it was like 4 to 6 months. I was like, man, I could literally have anybody on here and I'd feel comfortable doing it, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like you've, like, in what ways do you feel like specifically have you grown as like an interviewer?
I think I've learned to not be as serious and tight. Like early on, I definitely felt like I had a script and I stuck to it. And as time went on, I was like, I'm just going to use more of my humor and make little bullet points of different notes, but really just have a conversation based off of what they're saying and going back and forth and not being as like planned out. You know, I definitely do my homework on my guests and find out all sorts of awards they won or how many wins they have or what their season was the last 4 seasons, and I got their wins and losses. Like I do try to find cool little things that even they're like, oh, I didn't even know that about myself, you know? But I would say I definitely just like loosened up and just was more me than trying to be like a robot, you know?
Yeah. What about you, John, in terms of like, you could answer this question a couple ways. Obviously, you could answer it as yourself, as an editor, as a producer, but just in general, things you've noticed about Anthony or things that you've seen from the show in general that you feel like has really grown in positive ways, or any episodes, of course, too, that you feel.
I think to start with, like a special episode would be the first one that I worked on, and it was special for a few reasons. One was because it opened the door for me to get back into that, you know, visual, you know, creativity that I could get into. Second was because it was my best friend's dad that was on. He was a former Red Sox player. And to hear him, and he, you know, he's a huge fan of baseball. He's an ex Major League Baseball player, but to hear him, he's got no connection to the league anymore. So it was unfiltered. And he was saying things that, like, you know, anyone that's still tied to MLB would never say or talk about. And he was being completely honest. Like, I'd love to get him back on. But that was really, like, one that always sticks out to me because, again, that was the first one that I did anything for Anthony on, was that episode. And it was my best friend's dad and all this stuff. So that one has a special place in my heart. But as far as Anthony interviewing, like he said, and he's definitely turned it into a conversation. And we've talked about that before, where we've said, you know, hey, you know, just don't throw a bunch of stats out and everything like that. You got to remember that, like, people listening to this, and they want to hear from these coaches and players, especially the high school players. What is it like? What's your life like? Because they can relate so much more to people talking about their everyday things or their everyday lives, or what it's like to be a student athlete, or what it's like to be a coach, and, you know, the tough times, the great times, and all these things. Those answers, everyone's so intrigued to listen to, and Anthony's done that. He's turned it into a conversation, and he's not just going by script. You know, he's literally saying, he's throwing something up, and he's letting the person talk and discuss it, and then more questions, you know, develop from that question that he asked or something he brought up, and it's creating a much smoother, more fluent conversation. And I think it's been a huge improvement, and I think that's what's been great.
I think something too because I think I had the same sort of issues as you, not issues, but just like sort of mentality early on as well, of sticking to a script and, you know, feeling as though it had to be this buttoned up thing. And I think what always goes better anyway is just that organic conversation, just that humanizing the guests, right? Like, you know, I work in an industry, the music industry, where, you know, people are trying to sort of show a certain facade or have this sort of image that they want to uphold. And I get all that stuff, but I think it's important to humanize the person that you have on and, like, try to make a connection with them. And I think people appreciate that. Like, all our best episodes too, I feel like, are ones that are the feedback that I've gotten, that people saying, oh, this was a really impactful episode because I was able to connect to X, Y, and Z. It had nothing really to do with, like, you know, the guest coming on and talking about their favorite song, you know what I mean? And like, or that they've done, or like the big hit song they have, versus with you guys, like, you know, you can talk about the wins and the record all you want, but it's really about those connections at the end of the day that either the coach is making to the program as a whole, or maybe a specific couple of players, or maybe a specific team, or just what they've learned as a coach. And it's interesting for you, and I think this is what makes you very unique in the space that you're doing it, because you were a coach before. It's not like I was I'm not a musician. So for me, I've just been a fan of music and a consumer of music for my whole life. So for me, I come at it more from that angle. You come at it from a coach's angle.
Yeah.
And that must have made that transition potentially a little bit easier, because I think, or correct me if I'm wrong, maybe in a lot of those moments you were thinking, okay, how would I want to be asked? What would I want to be asked? What are the things that I would want to talk about? Yeah. I wouldn't want to just talk about, oh yeah, I had 10 wins in 2010 and that's great. But
I think the hardest thing in like sports in general, collegiately, professionally, and you're seeing it even trickle down to high school now, is like, you got 2 or 3 year window. If your program doesn't grow, you don't have success. Especially the fingers pointed at college. You don't have a job. Like, you're gone. Yeah. You know, and in high school
can be a little bit more forgiving.
It can be, and there's a lot of different factors, like parents and kids. Like, you might be dealing with parents maybe a little bit in college Division III, but not much. Like, if a parent's a pain, they're not going to recruit that kid, or they might not have that kid just because of that. And that's 100%. Fact. Like, I know coaches 100%. Who haven't accepted a kid or had a kid come to their program because the parents are a lot to deal with. And so I think at high school, like for us, like early on having coaches on, it was easy to ask them things about their program, like off season, social media, hiring assistant coaches and your process behind that. Like, what are you looking for? Leadership, like stuff that was like cool topics that other coaches would listen to. And I think as we evolved and got better, it was also kind of like these kids, like when we cover games, kids would DM us nonstop being like, I saw you on the sideline when I made this catch. I noticed you got this 3-pointer. Oh, I noticed you were under the hoop and saw this. And that kind of started the light bulb of like, man, if I had these kids on more, they're going to tell all their buddies they're on it. Everyone's going to listen. Everyone's going to want to get on it. Then they share their clips with us. Now kids are randomly sharing their clips with us. And I just felt like that was an opportunity for us to hit the acceleration button and go, because my plan was get to the ADs. They're the ones who are going to book things for us. But I've noticed in doing this, it's almost the other way around now. It's like if these kids get on a podcast or their team gets covered and it's cool, these parents are going to get in those ADs and coaches' ears, and they're going to have us come in. And then we cover the boys' basketball team, which means we have to cover the girls' basketball team.
Exactly.
Or we cover the girls' hockey team, we have to cover the boys' hockey team. And that's like where we're interviewing these kids now. Like our views are way up. Our interactions on social media are way up. Because I had some great coaches on, but they like, I don't even know the password to our Twitter account. And it's like, that's great, but that like sucks for us because no one is promoting us besides us, and that coach isn't like promoting it to their program or to their kids or to their community or to coaches in the league. So it was kind of like a cool episode, but for us, it didn't do much, right? So we kind of recalculated what we felt like was the best strategy was kids want to see themselves, kids want to hear themselves, kids want to, send us clips. They want it. So we've geared it more towards, we still have coaches on, don't get me wrong, but we've definitely taken a path towards having really good athletes who have either a college sport that they're going to be playing or they're academically through the roof on top of it as like a super athlete. So we really are trying to capture so many different lights of an athlete and not just like what they put on a stat sheet. And that is kind of really helped us. Like he said it with his daughter earlier, like I've been to those Medford Fields or games that the girls are like, can we get a hat? Can we get a t-shirt? Can we get this? Can we get that? Like, that means they're paying attention to us. Yeah. Like,
I'm utilizing her too I'll throw something up like, hey, a lot of my videos, I'll throw a song on there and she's watching me edit and she goes, don't use that song. I'm like, why? She's like, I don't like it. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't like it, then probably no one's going to like it. Okay. What were you thinking here? She's like, do something like 80s, Dad. I think this would be cool if you do like an 80s song. I'm like, okay. Or Carly, like, I want you to listen to this episode, and she'll listen to it. And she had a few teammates on, and she has a few peers on talking to Anthony. And she's like, it's really cool because he's not just asking, tell me about the best hit you ever had in softball. He's asking, tell me about home life. What's it like being a straight A student, working hard towards your grades, and then you're practicing every single day and coming home and all this stuff. And the kids love to hear that. They want to hear it, not for nothing. If we're helping just one kid out who might be down or might want to give up or doesn't, they're not able to juggle all those things going on, and they hear someone who's doing it and they give them some insight on how they're doing it, and they take that and they utilize that and they use that to their own daily life, that's a huge win for us. You know what I mean? And I think
and for them too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why, I mean, it's a big advantage to have my daughter where she is right now, because again, a lot of people that we're talking to and interviewing and know us and talk to us are her peers and people her age, and it's great. It really is.
I love it. Guys, you guys are really doing a wonderful thing for the community, and for just the greater Boston and really Boston area, all these communities that needed something like this. You guys have really filled a void, and I think it's a testament to anybody that wants to get in these creative spaces of how can you do something that's niche. When I started, just for context, when I started this podcast, I was just reviewing music. How many freaking music review platforms are out there? There's so many, right? Once I started focusing on the Massachusetts scene, things clicked. And for you guys could easily done another sports podcast where you talk about the Patriots, the Celtics, or whatever. But we have 98.5 for that. You have Nesson for that, right? Whatever it is. So for this it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. And the only hurdle I thought I ever had when it came to you was the technology thing, and you've clearly figured that out. Definitely amongst the two of you. If not more so, you just got somebody that needed it. But I feel like when I, knowing you, Anthony, as long as I have now, it's like, you're personable. It made sense. It all kind of made sense. Yeah. And I'm so happy for you guys and where you're at. One last thing I want to talk about before we get to the final question, final really segment of this, and that segment's the shortest segment, so don't worry, we're almost done.
No, please. I've been sitting here all day, man. This is great.
The amount of sponsors or also like partnerships you've made with like different entities or businesses and things like that, like, obviously with someone like or a business like Cheney's, for example. You guys have done so many other things with these other businesses. So can you guys shed some light and talk about what that's been like to, I guess, not only work with some of these other companies, but to also like, is that like a validating thing when they either approach you to work with you guys or vice versa when they accept and want to work with you? So
I'll let you go. Yeah.
I saw something the other day. I'm not going to quote it right, but it was like a meme or a saying, and it was like, while they're too busy worrying about what I'm doing, I'm at the top with everyone else working together. And I took from that, like, okay, so instead of sitting there going, oh, who's my competitor? Who do I have to work against? Throw that out, like the competition, throw it out, because you can see everything. There's competition everywhere. Someone's doing what you're doing somewhere. Someone's saying what you're saying 100%. Somewhere. Someone's using what you're using somewhere. Why not team up with people that are going for the same common goal and work together? And I think that's where the sponsors come in, is that we're not competing against each other. We're all trying to get the followers. For something like Cheney's, they're trying to get the foot traffic into their establishment. Other restaurants that we've gone to, gyms that we've worked with, all these people are looking for the clientele, for the people, the same that we are. Our clients can all use our services in different ways. I mean, at the end of the day, I like to think that someone's listening to our episode eating a Cheney, and then after they've finished a whole 6-pack of Cheneys, feel bad and go to Buccieri's gym and go work it off. And they've used all those people, and we're all sponsoring each other. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're all connected together. So why not work together? And the sponsors that we have, they have so much credit that are deserved to them, because they've been there for us, and they've had us. They keep the creative wheel going in my head and his head all the time. Like, how do we work with them? Let's not just throw their logo up. Let's not just say, oh, this is sponsored by so-and-so. We've gone to Buccieri's. We've gone to Cheney's. We've gone to these other businesses. We've spotlighted them. We've taken their business and done something creative with it, where it's not just, like I said, throwing a logo up there and someone goes, oh, great, they're sponsored by a restaurant. Whoop-de-doo. Like, we're going to go there. We're going to show you the food. We're going to show you the gym. We're going to show you all these things. And let's help them out with their social media and stuff like that. So I think it's great to have that team with you. And that's what I see it as, a big family. I don't see it as separate entities. I see it as a big family, all trying to help each other out. And you will not get to where you want to be without help and without friends and teammates. That's the truth.
I mean, I don't know how to follow up on that. I hit the nail on the head.
Mic drop on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. And I think that's why we work so well together, because there are other people like doing what we're doing. Maybe not the same exact way we're doing or everything that we're doing, but there's videographers out there who are killing it, podcasters who cover high school and college sports that are killing it. And like, we like their stuff and comment to them and ask them questions. Like, I'm always like, how'd you do this? Or what made you think of that? Or like, whatever. Like, because I'm genuinely like a fan. Like, anybody who's putting the work and the effort in what they're doing, like we are, there's a respect for.
And some are giving us great feedback, and some are acting like they don't want to share the secret. It's like, you know, not for nothing, I can go on YouTube and learn what you're doing.
Right.
How about just help a person out?
Right.
Like, and there are people out there that have much more expensive equipment than we do. You know, we started with phones. Up until November of 2022, we were using iPhones to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's all that was needed. But we, you know, felt like that we wanted to up the game a little bit. But like you said, you reach out to people, and it's amazing who wants to help and who doesn't want to help.
And I just think it's us as like people, right? Like, you surround yourself with good people. Like, people say this, but like your 3 best friends or your 3 closest friends, like, they're a reflection of who you are. So like when I'm surround myself with people like John and other people in my life that are like willing to give and willing to care and willing to go an extra effort, like, that's just like who we are. So I don't look at people as competition. Like, I really don't. Like, I wish people success in what they're doing, even if it's the same thing as us or very close to us. I just know we're going to do it our way, and that's kind of been our formula. Like, we're just doing it our way. Like, what we think is funny, what we think is cool, what we think is different. And, yeah, like, and if it's better than our competition, great. And if it's not, it's not. But we seem to feel like we have a pretty good formula. But
come along for the ride with us. I don't think you should ride people's coattails.
Right? Like,
I don't think you should ride people's coattails either, but at the same time, just come along with us. Like, we can knock this out together. Let's have fun, you know?
Yeah.
And I think our relationship with you is definitely a perfect example of, you know, we're not going to compete and try to put up music reviews, and, you know, you're not going to go out to a high school game and try to record anything, but we found a way to work together, you know, and you said it before and you touched on it, like, yeah, people can just, you know, review something, whatever it is, but I know you and I have talked about it before. The music scene locally has taken a massive hit, and what you've done is you've taken these artists that anyone nowadays, and I'm a musician, anyone can buy a microphone and record themselves now. What separates them? Their story, what their message is, what they're trying to get across in their art. You know, you shouldn't see it as, how can I be better than someone? You're never going to be better than someone. How can you be different, and how can you reach the most people that you can reach in a good way? If I reach one person and I've really touched them and they love what we're doing, I would rather that than get my stuff out to thousands of people that go, I don't want to watch this. I don't care. You know, that doesn't do anything for me.
Because better or worse is subjective, but what you're talking about is objective. If you make a difference in somebody's life through an episode, or
now you're better,
or music, right? Both people are on the receiving end of that.
Agreed.
So that makes total sense. I think that totally, and I hear what you're saying, because it's like, yeah, obviously, you know, my show and your show is vastly different. We don't really talk about. I mean, I'm a sports guy. I grew up a sports guy. But my platform's not about sports.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's a matter of, how can we, instead of saying, oh, well, we're way too different, we can't figure out a way to work together. It's like, oh, well, how many times have we, truthfully?
Yeah.
You know, I've helped sponsor some of your events for the Cornhole for Communication. Like, and that meant a lot to me to be able to be a part of that and give back in that way. Like, it's more of the things that I'm trying to do. I mean, with this album that I'm creating right now, I managed to get 20 producers and 42 artists on this compilation album. It's going to be a Massachusetts compilation album of all artists from this area.
That's
and like
awesome.
that is like, I take so much pride in something like that.
You should.
Over, like, you know, views on something or whatever. It's like, you know, it's building that community aspect and that being the important part of it. And I appreciate that you guys feel the same way, and that's how you operate. And that you've actually helped to shine light on some of these other small businesses that might not even be in your lane at all, but you've figured out a way to make it
get
work.
them involved.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. If this is not a ringing endorsement, any of like my audience listeners or whatever, that you guys should check out Beyond, follow them. Absolutely do that. This has been a phenomenal episode. I'm honored that we were able to do this.
It's incredible.
This is like the first really like podcast we've actually shot here. So yeah, if you're a podcast content creator, whatever it is you do, hit us up, aoastudios.org. We got
nice digs.
Yeah. It's incredible
awesome.
here.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, we have a great staff here that will help you with whatever you need creatively, space to do your thing and be your best creative self. We're here for you. So if you know, you're interested, hit us up at aoastudios.org, fill out an inquiry form, and let's see how we can help you be the best creative you possibly can be. My final question to you guys, I'll leave you with this. This is the open response. Normally when I have guests on, we do the dream song scenario. Maybe for you that would apply, but we're just going to throw that out for now since it's not what we're doing. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity here to just answer, I guess, a two-part question. The first is, you know, after everything we've said today, if you could wrap it up in one sort of statement, Anthony, I guess I'll start with you. What does beyond mean to you?
Yep.
And where do you see yourselves at episode 200? Because I inevitably think you're going in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just see beyond as honestly, like, this is kind of a really good question. My quick answer would be is beyond is a reflection of us. Like, I think that, like yourself and like anybody else who like pursues something that they're really passionate about, you're all in on it, right? And most people that are all in on it are focused and know what they're doing and know what they got to do, and they can time manage their stuff and balance their life and all of that. So for me, it's just a direct reflection of our hard work of like what we want to do to show off to people, who we want to spotlight, what we want to become, but doing it the right way and not doing it in a way that is the same as somebody else, or doing it in a way that is like generic. Like, we have fun, we enjoy it, and most importantly, we're changing lives. Like, it sounds corny, but it is true. Like, kids who've hurt themselves, and we bought a kid a pair of sneakers when we covered a game one time because he didn't have sneakers. Like, and he couldn't play because he literally didn't have sneakers. He had to wait to get his paycheck to play. And we were just like, no way. Like, we're literally going to buy this kid a pair of sneakers right now. And then we did. Like, to me, that's just like who we are as people. So to me, beyond is just another reflection of us and who we are as people and how we want to give back to our community locally, statewide, athletic teams, businesses. Like, yeah, we're good guys, man. We want to work and help people. Like, I'm not looking for millions of dollars out of this. Like, I'm looking literally to make someone day or night or year or month or whatever. And I feel like something as small as niche as this does that. So was there another part to that? Did I answer both
Where
parts?
do you see yourself at episode 200?
Oh, man. Back here.
All right. There we go.
No, I mean, episode 200, like, for us at that point, I think we would have, like, as better equipment, even better cameras, better stuff, maybe some interns, maybe a few people working for us that we cannot, John and I don't have to worry about John and I being at everything. John can go here, Anthony can go here, our interns can go here, and we can cover more of what we're covering at once.
Spread the love.
Yeah, so for us,
enough.
it's just growth. It's just, for us, but our biggest enemy right now is time.
Time, yeah.
That's it.
Likewise. Likewise.
It's biggest enemy. So,
John, same question. What does beyond mean to you, and where do you see yourself at episode 200?
I think beyond is the response I would give to anyone that asks what our platform is. They can say, is it high school sports? It's beyond that. Is it, sauce-offs? It's beyond that. Like, we literally do so many different things because we want to keep people on their toes. We want people to be entertained by what we're doing and stay at that community level where we're not trying to, continuously just keep showing the same thing over and over and over and over again. We want it to be different. We wanted to spotlight different people, different parts of the community. And I think what it means to me is the fact that like I said, we've grown so many relationships. We've talked to so many different people, the networking we've done, the people we've met, the families we've met, the stories we've heard. It means so much to me because I have now so many more connections in my life. And, there are more people that I've met and talked to than I would have normally,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And that's the most important thing from beyond for me is being able to have that. Yeah. 200 episodes, same with Anthony. I mean, hopefully I get a record deal here. We'll see. But no, yeah, I think, equipment upgrades always nice, but I think I want to be in a place where we want to be better at the 200th episode. I don't want to just be settled. I want it to be exactly like this one is. I want it to be where we're still hungry for it. We're still passionate about it. We still want to try different things and try different segments out and things like that. I want to be just as passionate about this as I am today at the 200th episode.
I think it's beautiful, man. Well, you guys have said a lot of things that have totally inspired me. I am sure that anyone listening to this is definitely going to be inspired as well. You guys are, like I said, when you had asked to approach me on something like this, I unequivocally was like, absolutely, because I really do feel like you guys are making an amazing impact. So thank you so much for being here and doing this episode with me and choosing to do it here. I'm honored to have you and for us to do it here and do something like this. It's pretty damn special. So
listen, the 100 episodes, he said it too. He's like, who do we have on? Like, we can't just throw it at some random person, but hey, you're our 100th guest or anything like that, and you were the first person he thought about.
Well, man, that's love, like mad respect. I guess it's full circle, isn't it?
It is, man.
Isn't it? I mean,
I
didn't taught him how to hit record. That's huge.
Literally, I taught you everything. You know,
turn the computer on. That was the start. But in all seriousness, like, we appreciate the love, but like, absolutely, back at you, dude. Like, to see where you've gone, like, just even when you came to help me set up, and like these ideas that you had, like, to me, like, I'm attracted to people that like are hungry and like want to do stuff that goes beyond their everyday life, right? But like goes beyond their everyday hustle and have to put more work into it after hours or early mornings. And like, as soon as I heard you start talking, I'm like, yes, like, this is someone that I just like want to connect with, want to keep in touch with, want to work with, like, because that motivation motivates me. And to see the studio and where you're at, dude, and like, you're 150 episodes plus, you have recording artists in here all the time, like, I'm really proud of you, dude. Yeah, like, it's motivating to me to see where you were and what your dreams were, to now kind of for us to go, okay, like, it's time for us to go get it now too. So I'm really proud of you, dude. You're doing awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, I feel like we're both in such different places than when you started your podcast. And yeah, I think it's like I said, it's a testament to anybody that you can make things a reality if you just, like you said, just put that. If you really care about something that deeply and you want to make it happen, you can. Yeah. And again, I think us three are even sitting here saying we're probably not where we want to be yet, but we're on our way there. And is that even a feasible location to be at? Right. Because then once you're there, it's like, okay, well, now what? You know what I mean? I think it's that constant growth mindset. You know,
keep your reality realistic. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, of course.
Don't make your reality something that is absolutely impossible to reach right now.
Right.
Make it something that, set yourself goals that you can obtain by doing hard work. But don't, because that's all it's going to do, is just going to knock you down so many pegs if you set your goals so high and everything like that and you're not attaining them, and you're like, you know what, I give up. Don't do that. No. Again, reality, realistic. It's got to be the same thing.
And that can be tough. Like, that can be tough. Yeah. Like, when something doesn't go your way and you're like, we missed an opportunity here, and it sits with you. But
sure. No, and I'm sure that there's been mistakes and slip ups along the way, as there's been with myself and my platform, but also with the studio, like everything. But it makes those wins, and when things really are working out, makes them just that much sweeter. So once again, guys, thank you so much for being here. This is this is a really special episode for me and for us to do. I'm so happy you just chose me and this space to do it. For anybody that is fans of or audience of our show, plug away, let people know where they can find you guys, and in socials, all that stuff. Yeah. Anybody you want to shout out as well?
Yeah, like Instagram, at _Beyond Podcast. Same thing with Twitter. I think Facebook might actually be my name still.
Yeah, it's under your name. We'll get that fixed.
Well, Instagram used to be his name. We fixed that.
We had to fix that one.
It's funny because that was also at the time I was like, I don't know how big this will ever be, so we'll just keep it as my personal. And then once we started growing, we were like, we got to change this to Beyond.
YouTube.
YouTube channel as well. And as far as shout outs go, I mean, we've worked with a lot of different people, so I don't want to leave anybody out. But some of our big ones early on, I mean, Chini's, Bucherri, Boston PT Wellness, Jim's Market's been humongous for us. Yep. We worked with Gold Athletics. Right now, we're working with Snap Rays. We have a few more that I'll keep tight to the chest until we figure it out. But much love to them because they helped expose us early on when we were nothing, and they saw the vision and they saw everything for us. So yeah, we want to show love to them for sure.
The families and the support system. Yeah. For allowing us to go to the Friday night games and early Saturday games or what have you. So definitely the families as well. Yeah. Friends and family.
Yeah. Awesome. People that back us, man. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you heard it here first. Beyond Podcast. Make sure you guys follow them. And if you are a fan of Beyond Podcast, just coming on to us for the first time, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I guess, if you're using Facebook still. Same thing.
We're old, all right? We're old people.
That's why I don't even update my Facebook.
You're still using Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, too. Turntable Teachers on YouTube. Subscribe to us. TurntableTeachers.com for all the latest blogs, podcast episodes, merch. And, and then, of course, if you're an artist, musician, creative, podcaster, whatever it is you do, videographer, photographer, hit us up, aoastudios.org. And AOA.studios on Instagram. Fill out an inquiry form, and we would be happy to get you whatever you need from a creative standpoint. We're available. We're running services on all of our. We're running specials on all of our services through I believe the end of the summer. So until October 1st. So take advantage of that. Once again, congratulations, guys, on 100 episodes.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm Mike. That's Anthony and John from the Beyond Podcast with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.
Turntable.